What's up, guys? My name is Joshua Wilbourn, if you guys know me. Today, I'm going to be talking to you guys a little bit about the sport of rugby in New Zealand. So if you guys think that football is a very physical, aggressive sport, no one would argue that. We've all seen football, we know how it's played, it's intense. But if you've ever seen a rugby match, either firsthand or on television, you know that that is just as, if not more, intense and aggressive than rugby. Because they're doing the same thing football players are doing, except they're doing it without pads. So they're pretty crazy. Rugby itself has actually been a very integral part of New Zealand's culture and history since the first game was played in 1870. And since then, rugby has blown up and become New Zealand's national sport. So today, I will explain a little bit, go over a little bit of how rugby is played, the general setup of the game, as well as go over the history of rugby in New Zealand, and then finally talk about New Zealand's national team, the All Blacks. So, rugby is, as I was saying, rugby is an extremely physical game that is not as well known in the United States as some European and Asian countries. We know more like football, baseball, basketball, but it's pretty big over there. It's very big in New Zealand. Rugby is played professionally with a total of 15 players on each team. You have 8 forwards and you have 7 backs. The forwards are usually going to be your bigger guys, your bruisers. Their job is basically going to be to get the ball powered up the field. Then you also have your backs. Your backs are usually your smaller, your lighter, your more agile guys. They're going to use their speed and agility to get the ball up the field and score that way. Now there's 2 main ways to score in rugby. You can either score a try, which is essentially a touchdown, if you will. They're worth 5 points, and you get that by going over the try line into the end zone or going to the goal area and touching the ball down. You could also score by scoring drop kicks, which is basically a kick over the goalpost. And those are worth different points depending on the context of which they're kicked. And I got all that information off of the New Zealand Rugby Union webpage, the How to Play page. So now I will go on to talk about the history of rugby in New Zealand. So rugby, as I was saying, has been played competitively in New Zealand since 1870. The first game was actually played the first game was played in Nelson, New Zealand, between the Nelson College and a local Nelson football club. When the game was over, the local Nelson football club had won 2-0. And without knowing it, the residents of Nelson, New Zealand actually bear witness to the first rugby game in New Zealand. Now, the New Zealand Rugby Union was established in 1892 to kind of oversee all rugby played in New Zealand, kind of like the NBA, NFL, MLB. It was originally called the New Zealand Football Rugby Union, but in 2006 was shortened just because. I got all that information as well off of the New Zealand Rugby Union page, as well as a page called theproud.org.nz. It went into detail about the first game played in New Zealand. So next, I will talk about New Zealand's national rugby team, the All Blacks. Now, the All Blacks, in a nutshell, are the most successful international rugby team in the world. They are actually the only international rugby team to have a winning record against every other nation they've ever played, which is pretty impressive. Basically, that means any nation they've played, they've won more times than they've been beaten. Now, they also do this thing called the haka. The haka is a traditional Maori war dance that it has many different versions. The most famous version is entitled Kamate Kamate. Now, that's the version that's used most frequently by the All Blacks during their games. The All Blacks actually perform a version of the haka before every game as a way of intimidation to the opposite team. The original All Blacks have actually been doing the haka since 1906. Now I'm going to show you a quick video of what that looks like when it is played. Where's the sound music?
You'll see on the left, about middle ways and round up.
They do this before every match. You can see the opposing team is right in front of them. Basically, it's a form of intimidation. So that was the haka. Pretty cool. I think it's cool. They usually kind of sends like shivers up the back every time I see it. So in conclusion, I'm honored that I had the opportunity to educate you guys on the sport of rugby, how it's generally played, the history of rugby in New Zealand, as well as New Zealand's national team, the All Blacks. Rugby is not only a physically and mentally demanding sport, but it is also a very gratifying and fun sport. I played in high school. It's a lot of fun. So finally, I encourage any of you guys that are interested in rugby to do a little more research, scout out the various clubs around the Albuquerque area. UNM has a team, as well as there's 2 local clubs around Albuquerque. Not only will you educate yourself about a sport you don't know, but you might actually find a passion in the sport you didn't even know existed. Thank you very much.